Hi, I'm Millie, and last year my partner Jack and I spent most of our free time and all of our sanity converting this van into our home. It drives me nuts when these videos have long-winded intros, so without further ado, this is exactly how much it costs to convert a van into a camper van. Starting at the top, we bought Vanric, our 2008 medium wheelbase, high roof Mercedes Sprinter van for 23,000 Australian dollars. On top of this, we paid $873 for 1 year of registration and $1,126 for the green slip, which in Australia is compulsory third-party insurance, which brings the total cost of acquiring the van to $25,021.
We wanted a van that was tall enough to stand in and big enough for a comfy bed and all of our adventure gear, and this van is perfect for that. We went for an older model with a bit of mileage because we didn't want to spend all of our money on the van and leave nothing for our travels. You can get an older, small van for pretty cheap, or you can spend $100,000 on the newest model Sprinter. But I think it's important to remember that your van is how you get to where you want to be in your adventure. And it's not the end of the world if it's not the newest model or Instagram perfect.
When we started the build, we had almost nothing in the way of tools. For all of the power tools we used, we either got them from Facebook Marketplace or borrowed from neighbours. Because we were working on the street, we ended up making friends with a lot of our neighbours, and at one stage we had tools from 4 different neighbours. But not including those tools, we spent $1,100 on power tools. We also spent an additional $610 on tools or non-power tools, so things like a rib nut tool and a socket wrench set, as well as accessories for the tools like blades. So in total, we spent $1,710 on tools. Now that we've got the foundations of tools in the van, I'm going to go through the cost categories in roughly the order that we did them, although some are going to overlap, so it's not a perfect system. But starting at the top, for cleaning and rust mitigation, we spent $77 on cleaning supplies, rust converter and rust proof paint. We then spent $80 on sound deadening, just using Amazon Basics brand stuff. We bought 2 packets, but probably could have gotten away with 1. I've seen people online absolutely cover every inch of their van with soundproofing material, which is both unnecessary and absurd. A little goes a long way, and it really shouldn't cost you hundreds of dollars. Next up is insulation. We used 2 different types of insulation in the van. Foil board to reflect heat on the flat panels of the van, and 1 roll of Polymax insulation bats. The total cost of insulation to $226. We installed this Maxxair Max fan, and it makes a big difference to comfort in the van because it brings in fresh air, especially at night. The fan itself cost $450 plus $65 for the things we needed to install it, like mastic tape and a timber frame, bringing the total cost of the fan to $515. The main construction material we used in the van was plywood. We used it for the roof, the walls, the headliner shelf, the kitchen, the cupboards, pretty much everything. We used $1,080 worth of plywood, and honestly, we could have used less if we knew what we were doing and didn't make as many mistakes. We also used $320 worth of additional timber for things like the bed base, so the total cost for wood in the van came to $1,400. We went pretty budget for most of our van build, but one thing that we did spend a bit of money on was the countertop. We visited a reclaimed timber shop and bought recycled coach wood, which we used for the benchtop and also our bench seat. To complete the kitchen, we installed heavy-duty drawer slides, which were $97 on top of the cost of the plywood, which we've already covered.
So in total, the kitchen cost $562. Our water system is a simple pumped water system using jerry cans for water storage. Above the benchtop, we have a simple pillar tap and a large sink to make washing up easy, which combined cost $128. Under the benchtop, we have a pump, filter and jerry cans, which cost $345 combined, and plumbing to pull it all together, which cost $188, bringing the total cost of plumbing to $661. One thing that I'd change about our van build is putting in a permanent water system instead of these jerry cans, because it's a bit of a pain to change them all the time. Also notice that we don't have either a shower or hot water in the van. In my opinion, both of these add unnecessary expense and complexity in the build. Onto our largest expense, our electrical system. Starting at the top, we have 2 solar panels that cost $207 each. The rest of the guts of the electrical system, including the charge controller, inverter, and 200 amp battery, cost $1,427. Holding it all together is $750 worth of wiring and electrical components. Then the visible stuff. We have these plugs and switches for $101, recessed ceiling puck lights at $134 for 8, USB chargers at $50 $20 a pop on each side of the bed. And one of my favorite things in the van, these gooseneck bedside lights for $144 for 2. So in total, our entire electrical system, which was by far our biggest expense, came to 2,792 Australian dollars.
The next spend category is what I call sticking everything together. In this category, we have fasteners like screws, nuts and bolts, and rib nuts, which we spent a total of $271 on. To be honest, we could have spent less money here if we'd planned ahead and bought in bulk, but when we started, we didn't really know what we were going to need, so that is a lesson learned. Next, in this category, there's glue and sealant. We use sealant for sealing the holes that we drilled in the van, like for the fan, and glue for the floor and just general sticking stuff together. In total, we spent $265 on glue and sealant. And finally, in the sticking everything together category, we have joinery and cabinetry installation. This includes things like brackets to install the shelves, latches for cupboards, and the aluminium angle that supports the bed. All of this cost $416. So for sticking stuff together, in total, we spent $962. This was higher than I expected to be when I started tallying everything up, but honestly I don't really mind because it's literally holding the van together. We definitely could have saved money if we'd bought things like fasteners or really everything in this category in bulk, but that is a lesson learned.
In the second to last category, decorations and finishes, we spent a total of $563. You could definitely go crazy in this category, but we kept things really minimal for now and we'll make improvements like paint as we go along. What we did spend money on was replacing the sound system head unit, which was broken when we fixed the stereo, automotive stretch carpet for the headliner shelf, aluminium angles to cover the edges of the floor, $185 worth of Danish wood oil to protect the plywood, and a couple of little things like paracord and a hook.
And in the final category, we have accessories. This might shock you, and I'm still not sure if it's worth it, but we spend $2,022 on our awning and awning installation kit. We also spent $675 on a new stereo because the original stereo was basically non-functional when we bought the van. And finally, $239 on a gas bottle holder. So in the accessories category, we spent $2,936. When we first started the build, we had literally no idea what we were doing. We did spend extra money on things we could have bought in advance or in bulk, or things that we didn't end up using. So you can definitely get the same results for cheaper if you have some kind of building experience, or even if you just have access to tools, which we didn't have, so we had to buy them. Not factored in here is the cost of our labor. We didn't track the amount of time we spent working on the van, but if we did, it would have been in the hundreds of hours. Again, if you're paying someone experienced, or if you yourself have experience in any of the trades required to build a van, it will definitely take much less time and cost way less than it took us. But ultimately I have zero regrets because we learned so much along the process and now we get to live in our van full time. So, what have you been waiting for? The total cost of our van conversion. The total build cost us $12,468. And including the cost of our van, in total we spent $37,669. I'll put a breakdown on the screen now of all of our costs, feel free to screenshot, and I've put links to anything that we bought online that I've liked in the description box below. Finally, I wanted to give a bit of advice to anyone who's considering converting a van or in the process themselves at the moment. It's so easy when you're building a van to compare yourself to what you see on YouTube, but try not to get caught up in comparisons. Focus on what you want from your van, whether it's to explore as an adventure van, a way for you to work remotely, your long-term home, or something else. Work on making it fit for your purpose, and don't worry if it doesn't look exactly like you see online. Okay, well with that, it's goodbye from me now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.